Oh, hello. Hi there. How are you doing this Friday night? I'm Brian, and this is your local 8-bit computer club. How are you doing? Is our ongoing journey to get a little closer to where we left off in the 80s on our Commodore 64 adventure? That was the computer I grew up with. And that is why I am doing this now. And I bet that you also love 8-bit computers. Did you have an Atari? Did you have a Tandy? Did you have an Apple? Did you have an NES? It's 8-bit as well. Dr. Tolbert, what is up? I was just taking a look around, seeing what I was doing. Oh, hi, Captain Kipper. Getting everything settled in. I think I originally must have said, and this is my bad, I said I would be here at 6, according to my schedule that I made out myself. And in my head, I thought it was 6:30 because that was my intention all along. But apparently I had posted, I think I copied pasted our previous week where we had done our community event. I guess 6 would be fine. I'm usually home in time for that. If that works better for everybody else. Welcome in, Brack Flack. What is going on, my friend? I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute. What you been up to? All right, let's get this blasted out. Anarchy! Anarchy, I tell you. You can't say one time and show it up a different time. That's just, ooh, I'm hearing myself. That's just anarchy. Oh, don't you love it when you try to bloat up your YouTube? And it gives you some of that. Had a little panic there a few minutes ago. I'd opened up my social media tabs in a private browser, apparently, so I couldn't log into nothing. And I was like, what is going on? Why am I suddenly logged out of everything? Because I'm a moron. I know to open it in the wrong place. Hey, let's do this real quick. Now, this is open to all 8-bit computers, right? Whether you had an 8-bit computer or if you did not, maybe just have an interest in 8-bit computers, you're all welcome here. But I grew up on the Commodore VIC-20 and the Commodore 64. However, I've been exploring other 8-bit computers since then because many people on my street, which is a road really, I lived in a rural area, they all had different computers. So I had access to different computers and I had envy of different levels, including Atari, Apple, Tandy, all those computers. I don't think anyone had, did anyone have the color Tandy? I can't remember. The TRS-80, the Coco. The point is this. I grew up around a lot of 8-bit computers, a lot of variations. So if you have an 8-bit computer story, please share it. Or if you're doing like I'm doing, which is I'm going back to 12-year-old Brian, who received a Commodore VIC-20 from Dad, and we're going into an ad break, so I'm going to continue this story in just a second. In the meantime, I'm going to load up just a little thing that I was using as practice to get back into 8-bit programming. I program for a living now, once I growed up. And when I was doing the stuff in the 8-bit computers, talked about this a good bit, I didn't know what I was doing. It's too young to understand all of it. And I never got to go back and visit it, but I still had those dreams. So that's what we're pursuing. Shay says 12-year-old Brian has a pretty impressive beard. Thank you. He does. So what we're doing right now, you're looking at the Commodore 64 basic version 2 screen, as you would. And this is the Ultimate, the Commodore 64. That's actually my iPhone. That is Super Ultimate, right? That is Super Ultimate. But over here, if you would pan your eyes over just a little bit, you'll see here that I've got the Commodore 64 Ultimate, which came out just this past year. Commodore is back, baby, as they say, in a new form, but there's new hardware to have. This is an FPGA implementation of a Commodore 64 that is an amalgamation of different projects that were brought together by Parafractic and others of those communities. So we'll get into a little bit about that too. But this is my new toy. It's my new toy. Computer Club, welcome in, Tandagosa. Welcome in. We're waiting for that ad to finish up. Thank you so much for that sub, Tandagosa. You're an amalgamation of awesome. Thank you very much. One of my favorite amalgamations. Wasn't there a comic series that was like a wasn't there like a comic series that was like a crossover between Marvel and DC, and it was like Amalgam Comics, I believe. And my favorite, I think, was Dark Claw, with which was a combination of Batman and Wolverine. Do you guys remember that? Batman and Superman amalgamated, right? But yes, that happened too. Yep, Dr. Tolbert remembers. I remember. It was amalgam. Okay, I thought so. It was at the 90s, right? You have it across the room. Oh, you'll have to share some pics, because I can still see that. I can still see that cover art of Metal Man, Spider Boy. I don't remember all of them. I just remember getting very excited about the Wolverine and Batman combination. That was awesome. I grew up in Marvel. I read DC as well later on, but when I was young, when I was playing around the Commodore 64, that would have been my Marvel era and horror comics era as well, back in the 80s. We'll have to go, but we'll have to look at that too. Anyway, so this is my Commodore 64 screen right here we're looking at, and I have been working just briefly trying to get my feet back into... Oh man, did I leave the magazine in the other room? I have to go grab it. I have to go grab the magazine. I thought I brought it in here with me, but I apparently did not. But I've got a magazine I want to show you guys as well, because I grew up... What I'm doing here, by the way, if you're not a Commodore 64 head or a Commodore head, I'm loading string, and this basically just loads in almost like a little program that you can list out that tells you what's on the floppy drive. We're connected to device 8, which is where I would usually had my 1541 loaded up on. So, and this is all virtualized so far, and I was working on this just last night. Nothing very impressive. It's just what you do when you're starting back up. You kind of go through and you go, hey, I want to do a thing, and I want to do it in BASIC, and I want to learn a little piece at a time, and I don't want to follow along to somebody else's ideas. So your choices are: take a program that exists and modify it, kind of reverse engineer it a little bit, figure out where the changes you want to make, and do that. Well, so I said, you know what, I don't want to do that. I want to start from scratch. I want to look at the program, this Commodore 64 programmer's reference guide for some references. So what I do is I start and I write down what I want. It's like, oh, I want to do this. And in this case, I said, what do I want? Well, I said, I want to do something simple. I want to do something that proves I can remember how to manipulate the visual of the Commodore 64. And one of the first things they teach you in BASIC is how to peek and poke. And you can peek at a value on the memory on the Commodore 64, and it'll tell you what a value is of a certain memory location. And usually the first thing you do is change the background and border colors. So you got your border colors around there. It's kind of that nice little lighter blue, and then you got your center area where you type, and that's a darker blue. And so I went and looked up. I'm like, what I got to poke? So I poke that, and then what you usually do is you clear the screen. Sometimes you do it beforehand. Clear the screen. That defines some variables of sorts that I knew I'd need. And basically, I just wrote a little thing. I was like, what do I want to do? I said, I want to clear the screen. I want to change the colors in the background. And I want to draw a green border with some character that's already available on the keyboard. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do that. That's that. Ooh. And then I want to print something in the middle of the screen. So I'm going to have to calculate the size, the width of the screen. I got to measure the height, and I got to figure out some kind of calculation to put that text right in the middle of the screen. I said, and I'll do all that, and then do I want to do a wait? Do I want to let it break? I don't know. So anyway, the point is this very exciting, very first, just write it to make it exist into existence. Look at that. It's your local 8-bit computer club. Lapino, what is up? That's really all that little basic program I does. I just didn't take very long, but it was important to get the juices flowing, right? Got some other ideas I want to do. Oh yeah, run so fast, right? It was run so fast. Did you see how fast that rendered? And we're using basic, so it's and this is supposed to be, I think I have this set up so that it runs at the same speed as it would by default. So 1 megahertz processor, a basic interpreter, the fact you could see it drawing is pretty slow. But whatever you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Tonda, why are you not allowed? You're like a moderator. Why does maybe you're a moderator on Twitch but not on the other? So what I'm gonna do? Participate in this chat now for a chance to become a VIP for this stream. Oh, Moobot says that 10 matches. Okay, let's see. How come, Tonda? How come it won't let me see what you posted? Let's do that. Anyway, that's what I've been doing with my Commodore 64 stuff. And we never posted this to social media. And I also need to grab that magazine because I wanted to show you what I do have at hand, though. I keep promising that I'm going to post links to all this stuff. And I am. I'm going to do it today, as a matter of fact. And yeah, we're going to do it. So this is the Commodore 64 Sketch and Design book. Because it's just easier when you're trying to create sprites to, use a little worksheet, coloring little blocks. Brack says, I programmed Snake in BASIC, then realized programming isn't what I wanted to do to go for the test of my life. But my kid is in university learning programming. I love programming. Yeah, rest of my life. I got you. Rest of your life. I got you. All right, I'm going to copy this. URL that Tonda posted, and for some reason, Botrix pooped on it. All right, let's put that in there. I actually programmed some stuff, and I was super excited and wanted to keep doing it. So that message is from Tonda Gosa. This is the Composite Superman. Was this also? Oh, this is the, I don't know about this. I know about Amalgam, but I'm not familiar with Composite Superman is a supervillain, which is exactly what you would expect. Oh no, you don't need that is on subject, Tonda. We were doing that. We were kind of just, this is a computer club, right? So there's going to be a little bit of me talking about and updating the projects I'm working on, and then the rest of it's going to be stuff like I thought we might talk about the computer magazines, because I got in a Compute Gazette. That was the magazine I grew up with, and I want to hear from you guys, whether you were an Atari or Tandy or or whatever, Apple, whatever system you were on, 8-bit system. Let's try to keep an 8-bit if we can. We can branch outside of that if you didn't have any 8-bit experience. We're not going to be super strict, because this is a computer club after all, right? Tin Lobster, what's going on? So we're going to do so, and we're also going to occasionally, just kind of branch off into other nerdy subjects because, why not? We can do that. That's our prerogative. This is our club, our local club. It's not your club. It's our club. Right, so let's take a look here. I'm going to see if I can bring this up. Let's bring that up higher. Tonda was telling us about Composite Superman, which I know nothing about. He's a supervillain, an enemy of Superman and Batman. But wait, how can he be an enemy of those when that is what he's made out of? How did he come about? There's been several versions of the character. The original version first appeared in World's Finest Comic. So the question, I have questions because one is an alien and one is a human. One is super powered and the other one is rich. So does this Composite Superman keep all of his cash in his left pocket and then in his right pocket? Plus he's kind of green. Why is he green? Tolbert says, I put Dark Claw photos in Discord. We're going to look at that too. So we're talking about amalgamation comics. There was one called Amalgam, I believe. I think we finally determined that was it. Joseph Meach was a diver who had fallen on hard times in an attempt to draw publicity to himself. Meach set up a water tank on a sidewalk in Metropolis and dove off a building. How is this leading to Composite Superman? The tank was leaking and Meech would have died if not for the intervention of Superman. Upon learning that Meech's misfortune, Superman obtained a job for him at Superman Museum. I don't know if I want to read anymore before I read the actual comic. I think that's all I want to know. I think that's as far as I'm going to go for right this second, until I see some more. But Dr. Tolbert, Jerry Tolbert, has shared with us in the chat. We're going to bring it up here. I had this comic forever. This is, let's switch over to our Discord server. And that's not the right screen. So let me try this one then. There it is. All right. Yeah, Dark Claw. So there you go. So if you take a look there, that is Dark Claw. That is a Batman Wolverine. Now, what's interesting here, I think, is Amalgam, right? Amalgam is the name of the comic. Remember this came out. And is this Action Comics? What was DC originally known as? Marvel and DC both had other names before they really settled into what we know them as today. By the way, here's an amalgamation over here. Look at that over there. That guy over there. You see that guy? But yeah, this one fascinated me because Batman's dark, and then Wolverine is darker. Was it Detective Comics for DC? Was that? I know that was the DC part, but it seems like Atlas was Marvel, right? Is that the old Atlas type logo? Who exactly was doing this? I'm trying to remember. So Larry Hama, Jim Millant, and Ray McCarthy. National Periodic Publication. So the NPP, David Aker says. NPP, you know me. There's a good old nice. Look at that. Look at that. Black and white and red all over. Oh my gosh, he's telling bad jokes. He's telling, oh, look, he's got serrated. Yeah, because, you know, he's Wolverine, but he's also Batman. So he's like, I'm going to have to jazz this up a little bit. It doesn't take a detective to figure out where your claw was pointing to, hyena. I remember really liking this. It was super dark, but it kind of fit. It was perfect. Yeah, I love the vampire teeth. But they had a whole bunch more too. So I'm going to run grab real quick. I'm going to run grab the Compute magazine I got. So Compute's Gazette was a magazine my dad would often pick up and then would hand off to me. And like many of you of that era, you probably remember something called type-in games. Hyena was a Joker Sabretooth hybrid. That is amazing, Dr. Tolbert. That's it. DC Comics became the name in 1977. Gotcha. DC was National Comics Publication. Very good. And Atlas Comics was Marvel before they became Marvel. But Marvel was, I forget exactly when, because I had some older stuff. Like I had a whole bunch of horror comics and some early comics that my aunt gave me that was in a big trash bag that was in an attic back during the early 80s. And so it had all these comics from the 50s and 60s and some horror comics from the 70s, which fascinated the crap out of 12-year-old me. It was fun. Avian, what's up? Let me run grab that magazine so we can talk about it. Meanwhile, I want you to think about this. I just want you to think about this digital diamond thing here. What do you think? I just want you to think about it for a minute. Just want you to just think about this digital diamond. Ooh, look at that. The push button baseball game. Oh, from Sears. What's up, Monkey Bananas? All right. Chill your butts. Chill your butts. I'll be back in half a shake. Half a shake. Hey, buddy. Hey. Oh yeah, that is very much a mechanical. It's partially mechanical, Captain. Yep. Like the I think the little trigger you pull to shoot the ball and stuff, but then it's also partly digital. That thing is there. So you guys, if you guys watch the Play Retro show, you may have caught it. Don't activate chat, please. Enable channel here. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see. Why did my chat go wonky? Anyways, back. Computes Gazette. So this is issue 1 that relaunched in 2025. Dan Anderton, what's up, my friend? It is a reboot of sorts, or a relaunch of what I had back in the day. This is not nearly as thick, but it is on some nice, shiny, heavy stock paper. And we'll get into a little bit about this as well. But you've got old school ads, right? You got articles in here by people who are in the scene, right? Got some really cool information about what is the HAPS. It's not just retro. I mean, it's not just like, hey, remember this, remember that. No, it is some of that, right? It's some of that. What this meant to me. This is the editor's really amazing introduction back into the comic. There's a write-up on Parafractic, who rocked the Commodore world this past year by bringing us by solidifying the community a little bit, which, you know, like Atari already had a pretty good solidification, but Commodore was floundering a bit, and that really helped a lot. He got the band back together somewhat, so that's good. Some of the new keyboards and stuff you might be able to get with the Commodore. Some of the things that are going on. And this was the first issue, so I don't know how much has changed since then. Got to have the PCBWay ad. You can't hardly watch a retro-themed 8-bit something without seeing a PCBWay ad, because, you know, that's what we have to do. If you're going to build something, that's what you got to do. Got some, looks like some letters to the magazine, I believe. Maybe some personal experiences that happened there. There's this guy talking about his career that took off, how his Commodore shaped my animation career. So that I find that fascinating, because I got some animation tools that I'm looking forward to, but, you know, talks about the inside. So I'm really interested in seeing how this magazine is going. So I'm going to subscribe to the most recent version. But really the most important part here, I mean, besides the articles and that sort of stuff, once you get back this way, you'll notice that they have an Atari Outpost. So they're trying to give the Atari people a little shelter to come into. But it's the type-in stuff that's in the backs of these, right? So you got your type-in programs in back here, right? Just like you'd have in the original Commodore, Compute Gazette's magazines, and in lots of the 8-bit computer magazines, right? Because you may not would have access. Distribution of software in every small town wasn't always readily available, so it was always good. And, you know, if you were getting in to 8-bit computers, you may not even have a cassette drive, or how about, you may not even have a way to load up any medium. Discordia, what's up? It's a weird time for tech, terrible time for Windows PC, but a great time for retro tech computers, Mac and Linux. That's right, baby. Because we got it is really interesting time. I mean, this is about what we're doing right now is about as counterculture as you could possibly be, right? While the world is talking about AI and and everything that is going on with technology changes, this shortage that is being generated because of AI, just the huge impact of AI itself. And it really does feel like a good time to counterculture it. I mean, it's not longing for a simpler time, but it is a shelter from the constant onslaught of everything, right? That's right. Tonda says the world don't beat to the beat of just one drum. You tell him, Mr. Drummond. Captain Kipper confirms I typed up pilot programs for magazines. BBSs were few and usually poor. So that's a topic I would like to talk about at our 8-bit computer club meeting. I'm trying to essentially, we talked a little bit about this last week. I'm trying to emulate what it would be like if I had been mature enough and old enough, worldly enough to pursue the desires I had as a 12-year-old with computer programming within the environment that I thought, because I had no particular vision that Commodore would not be the future. So when I dreamed of creating games, it wasn't creating games that would be, it was of creating games that were like Pac-Man or Q*bert or, Pole Position or, those kind of games, right? So that's what 12-year-old dreamer was dreaming of. He might have dreamed of some things, like Gorf was doing some stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's like, how would Brian at that age, if he was wanting to get into the mix and design a game at the time, what would he have to do and what would that look like? So it's kind of a life emulation to finish a story in my head. Maybe I am... yeah, people say it all the time, but I think maybe I have a little bit of something in me that's, for some reason, I need to fulfill it. It's like an obsession of sorts. So, I don't know. Cabgiver says 1 plus of living in a university. Oh, yeah. Living in the university to get you some BBSs. I had none. There was nothing like that. Discordia says, this is such an incredible project, Brian. I'm so glad you're doing this. Thank you so much. I'm having a lot of fun with this. And I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying going along with me. I don't want to sit and bore you guys with like programming, because I mean, let's face it. Let's just take a look here, because like what I did with this, like how bored would you guys be, watching me type out this crap? I mean, it would just bore you to tears. And lots of times, most of it is me just sitting there and thinking, taking out a piece of paper. I write down this is how I program. This is the way I always program. I write it out. And it's just I take a piece of paper. You don't have to use a piece of paper if you don't want to, but this is how I do it. I write it out. I'm like, I want I want a program that does this. Period. And once I put it on a piece of paper, it gets real, because I know a lot of people who are early programmers, they'll get really, they're like, I don't know where to start. And it's like, I don't know where to start. It's like at the beginning. So you just write down what you're wanting to do, and you'll look at that and you go, okay, well, how do I make that happen? How do I make that happen? And you just start writing down, well, it'll need this, it'll need that. I start making a little checklist. It'll need this, it'll need this, it'll need this. It'll need to, people need to be input stuff into it. I need to store this. And you just write all of it down, right? And then once you get through with that, then you just take each little piece and you go, okay, where's my big framework set here? And you go, okay, so I need to do this. And lots of times, I'll start on the fun stuff just to kind of get the ball rolling. So I'll just go, so I'm going to need a user interface, and I'm going to need a place for, people to put input, right? And so I'll just go ahead and start designing that, and I'll just go, start making that out. And then it's like, oh, now let's see what it wants to look like. And then I'll start, dumping a little bit of information into it, little test data for stuff, until I finally get to a point where it's like, okay, now the momentum's there. I'm rolling in the same way with what I'm doing with this. I know some things I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to, I want to make a game. I don't even know what game yet, so I need to lock that in. But I do know the game is going to have to, it's going to have a start screen. And I'm like, well, how do you make a start screen? And it's like, well, I could fiddle fart around in BASIC and figure it out, and then try to next week. So next week I'll convert it to assembly, right? So I kind of know BASIC a little bit from growing up. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to write a little bit of proof of concepts each week in into basic, just seeing, if can I make these sprites collide? Can I, make things happen? How will I have what will my start screen look like? I'll need some input. I'll probably have to ask the user, what's your name, or how many players? If that factor is probably going to be one. But probably more like difficulty. I mean, I even put difficulty in there. That's probably much further on. But anyway, like I said, I was like, well, that's the first thing I could do. And that's what I did. I spent like a couple of hours the other night. I just learned all the places that I'd have to do to make something draw on screen. Did it in basic, and then next week I'll probably jazz it up some. I'll probably make it wiggle. Maybe I'll make the colors change or something, and I'll ask for some user input, and then I'll probably convert that to assembly, and then I'll just keep on going down the line until we get to where we need to be. Keep myself busy. Try not to get hung up on any one phase of the project. Sometimes helps me, because I could definitely just get into, just putting up scaffolding. And so, this is my process. This is my process. Captain Kipper says I use Blitz compiler on the Commodore 64. Very good. I never used a Blitz compiler. I'll tell you this. Was it Apple or Atari that had, was it Atari or Apple that had the Merlin thing, and then it made it to the other systems? Whoever started Merlin, that is a thing of beauty. I love that thing. Captain Giver says our school had Super Pets. We learned COBOL, BASIC, and APL. APL is weird stuff. Scory says, dang, we just had Apple IIe's. That's right. You remember, you write your little pseudocode. That's right. This is a sketch of code. That's what it is. That's the definition of it. Yep. We usually call it pseudocode. It's just you just write out what you want, and then you look up what you're looking for, and you write it out. So don't let programming scare you. Don't let it scare you. It's actually a lot of fun. And you put one foot in front of the other, and you solve one problem after another. Now, let's get this party started proper. Discord says, yes, what we did with Basic 2. Oh, hi, Puppy Kitten Trout. So let's give a shout out, first of all, to Tondagosa, who is hanging out with us tonight. Good friend of mine, and someone I can't wait to meet again at the Crossroads, at the Utah. Tondagosa is a great retro streamer. Please follow my friend Tondagosa if you're not already. And let's talk about you guys' favorite in the Utah. That's right, in the Utah. Let's talk about your favorite magazine. Compute's Gazette was mine. Did you guys have one? I think a few of you had mentioned some in our Discord server, so I'm going to head over. We have a Discord server. I'm going to post a link to that here in a second. Bang. Discord. I think that is right. It should give you a link to that. Did it even? I don't see it. Did it go somewhere? And I also didn't post this to social media. You guys are really bad. You guys are really bad at keeping me straight. Ron Trenta, what is up? Computer Shopper. Yes, Computer Shopper. Tana says I had a sub to PC Magazine for a while. Yep, I had one of those as well. Computer Shopper, it was an amazing magazine. That was so much fun. I think I might still have some Computer Shoppers out in the garage. Avian says Discord told me you were on. That is social media, Brian. Discord. Oh, EGM. Yep, Electronic Gaming Monthly. Is that right? Captain Kipper says it had a sub to Byte, another great magazine. And what you guys said on the Discord server, I'm going to grab a link while I'm over here too. Oh, by the way, David Akers rightly called me out early and said, hey, are you streaming tonight? And I was like, hey, what you talking about? Of course I am. It's 6:30. And I'm like, no, I just realized I put that wrong, didn't I? I put it wrong. I I put it at 6, and that was my bad. Let's take a look here real quick. I'm going to show you guys what the Discord server looks like. And this is some of the magazines we were discussing recently. Let's see. I'm going to back up to the beginning here, to the welcome to the 8-Bit Computer Club. Let's see. Oh yeah, I was messing around with my Atari 800 recently. Skits, what's up? Thank you. Welcome in. How's your Friday, Saturday going? Run Magazine. That was the other one I think I had as well, Captain Kipper. Run Magazine. I think, wasn't that the right one? We had talked about this too, Talbert. Remember talking about this last week where we're looking at the custom pocket protectors. All right, so I haven't gotten to designing any sprite work, but as soon as we start designing some sprite characters, we're going to make ourselves an 8-Bit Computer Club logo, and we're going to order ourselves some pocket protectors. I think so. Eclectic Gamer says, "You're a retro god, my good man." No, you. Let's see. Skit says, "Pretty good was building Blood Bowl minis." Ooh, now I need to see some pictures of those. You got to share that. How to do a quick assembly program. Yep, there we go. No AI. Look at that. Run Magazine. Okay, so here we go. Here's a good place. Actually, Captain Kipper, you said this one, I believe, in our Discord. So let's pop over to Run Magazine. Yeah, I remember this one. Let's switch this over to Run Magazine. Ba-dum-bum. Created in 1984 by Wayne Green and ran about 100 monthly issues through 1992. I noticed that's about when a lot of these magazines kind of stopped, between like 92 and 94. I think Compute's Gazette might have even made it into 95. But definitely, I mean, a lot of people were hanging on to those computers. I wonder what they would have focused on. So these focused on the Commodore 64, the VIC-20, the Plus 4, C16. I have some of these. I don't have the Plus 4. I have the C16. I never have I seen a 116, a 264, but I have seen a 128. I think my dad was telling me about a 264 he had for a very brief time. But I don't think I've even seen. I don't even know what a 116 is. Must be related to that 16 series line. I'm trying to get a Commodore 16 functional, by the way, but it's got a TED chip that is questionable, so we're gonna look at that. Some magazines switched to quarterly or bi-monthly in the 90s, says Captain Kipper. Now that makes sense, probably just trying to hold on, but definitely their biggest run is going to be from probably like 82 to 88, according to how far they made it. Let's see, but a lot of these are online, so you can hit one real quick. And I'm being kind and leaving these ads up because, they got to make some money. They got to make some money. And if they're not allowing me, let's talk about that for a second. Let's just hold on just a minute. This is something that I've been thinking about the last couple of days. And it primarily comes from an article in Compute's Gazette's first issue of his most recent run back in 2025. Talks about I got so excited about Commodore being back that I didn't ask too many questions about their profitability. Now, I know they're having this first run of the Ultras and stuff. I know hardware-wise, they're probably making a few dollars, but I can imagine it's a lot. And as a company in a niche market, I don't know how you're going to survive. And so Parafactic actually, has been, he had alluded to some stuff last year that once they got the name all, properly cinched up, because, there's always going to be, where you first launch something like that, people come out of the woodwork and go, "Hey, I have a stake in this too. Gimme." And so, they had to work through all that stuff. But I am curious, like Atari is, as it is now, is doing an amazing job at selling us. Is it nostalgia? They're selling us some really quality products as far as merch goes. So they've got the current Atari has style out the wazoo. Now some of the products they have are a little bit of a failure. I think they had like a trucker hat with speakers or something in it that was way overpriced. I'm like, okay, you know, that's not good. But then they have like bags and satchels that are branded with the Atari logo, and that stuff is good. That's some good quality stuff. Is Atari of old Avian? No, they are not. It is definitely it is a new company essentially. But they are good stewards of the company, in my opinion. They created something early on with some hardware. They kind of took the same path as what Commodore is doing right now. They started out knowing that they would have to release some new hardware that could be relevant. So they introduced the Atari VCS Mini PC, and it was a very decent piece of hardware that could actually run Windows 10 or Linux or anything else you wanted to run. And they never tried to lock you out of modifying your Atari VCS. But the idea was, sell you the Atari VCS. You would boot into an ecosystem of Atari games and a menu of online menu, because you log in online, and you'd play basically games in the cloud of yesteryear, right? And then they started including like what they called recharged versions of classics, and so yeah, it all seemed pretty good. But I don't know how many people actually makes use of the online store. Skid says, Atari says Atari is just a series of companies using the trademark. That may be true, but the Atari website, I'm not sure how their business works. How about that, Captain? You probably know more than I do about that, but it presents itself as a unified market. And when I look at the Atari of now, I see a healthy company. Whether that's an illusion or not, I can't say, but they look profitable. They're constantly bringing out new stuff, and most of it seems to be well handled, including that most recent Namco Pac-Man thing, even though I got the short end of the stick on that, and I wasn't necessarily pleased with how their pre-orders were delivered. They got it done, right? They got it done. Yeah, I love my 7800 plus Chris Henley. I have all of their stuff. I mean, I have almost all of their hardware I've purchased. Can Commodore do the same, or can they do something else? Like when I'm writing these programs and things, I'm like, usually I'm kind of writing in this area of, I don't want to pay for no monthly subscription. But in this case, yes, I do. I want Commodore to succeed. As a matter of fact, I subscribe. I'm a Patreon or patron supporter of Retro Recipes, which is Parafractic, who is doing all of this, because that is the only way I know to give to them currently, other than to purchase hardware. And I know that from what he said, he's invested a lot of money into it. I know he's definitely invested a lot of energy into it. I don't know how much money, I can't say, but I'm assuming he's never said anything that proved to me to be suspicious or anything else. So far, got my trust, and I hope to keep it that way. So it's perfect. Capcom's Atari is currently owned by French holding company Atari SA, formerly Infogrames, which they brought that name back to, right? So the holding company, I guess, manages all the licensing, I guess. But so they're doing a good job at making deals, and also doing a good job at licensing. So it looks like a healthy company. Eclectic Gamer says, you were dead on the money with that. Brian, Commodore need to have some quality merch. And honestly, when it comes to computer system, they only need to be useful today, not just a retro. Yeah. I mean, the hardware is only going to go so far, right? I mean, there's such competition out there for stuff that's not branded Commodore that will probably work just fine with most of the stuff, that it's going to have to be a little different thinking, right? But like I said, I'm willing to pay for a subscription to whatever. Like if they decide they want to tie in with Compute's Gazette, or if they want to make their own magazine, or, you know, some kind of something. I don't know how BBS's will work, because I know I'm a little bit, I only got just half the story. I'm talking a lot, but I wish this was like a real club where you know what, we need to open this up like we do with our community events. We probably need to have like a speaking channel. Maybe I can invite a couple of you guys on stage and we can have discussions about this. So I'm not just talking out my butthole, but because sometimes I don't know what I'm going to say until it comes out of my face, because it's been rattling around in my head and I ain't had a chance to vet it until I say it out loud, and then it falls out and like, uh-oh, that doesn't make any sense. So it'd be good to have some challenge on some of this stuff. But where was I at? I've totally forgotten now. But yeah, I would like to see more things with Commodore in a way that's I could sustain it. I could sustain support, right? Well, actually, says Tonda. But yeah, so many other pieces of hardware out there to do this with. So I don't know. I want them to succeed. I will get out and push. I will help push this cart. Just give me some way to, you know, to do it. And I know that they said that in 2026 that would be a thing, right? So I'm pretty excited to see where they're going. All right. Well, actually, Tonda, I still never posted this to social media. At this point, I don't even think I want to. But I always liked Run Magazine because they used the logo with the actual keys and stuff, which I thought was really cool. That word used to excite me a lot. It still excites me a lot. Running, that's the commit. That's the action button. It's like, it wasn't one button, but it was like, run, boom, I have the control. So do they still, is this thing exist in any way or form? Because man, I'm telling you, I really want Commodore to give me a magazine. It is the magic word, isn't it? And they knew it, and they captured it right there. VIX video flashcards. Oh, by the way, I do intend and hope to get my VIC-20 over here on the board as well, eventually, because I did order this. Speaking of PCBWay, maybe I should start. They have like affiliate programs and stuff. Maybe I should start doing some PCBWay affiliate stuff, because these things they're so cool. I love PCBWay, but there is a part of PCBWay that, in order to use it as an end user, I almost need to have a whole stream where I explain to you guys how to go through the process, because it's so complicated. It's not on rails for PCBWay. I mean, they've automated as much as they can, but it can be it can be a lot. But this is a 32 kilobyte RAM cartridge for my VIC-20, and I've already plugged it in, tested, and played around with it. It's got some little chips on the back. Look at that. It's got a little couple little chips, and I think a memory chip here. Do they still make these? Where'd they even get this from? I want to know. But man, there's just so many third-party things and so many projects out there that you can order directly from PCBWay. It's gonna be a challenge for Commodore, and I think they can overcome it, and I'm excited about being a part of it. Eclectic Gamer says, have you seen those 8-bit retro style calculators? They look so very cool. That's the type of thinking Commodore needs to think about. Yeah, because they started out with calculators, right? Wasn't that Commodore's thing? Your Commodore business machines and whatnots. I would like to have a programmer's calculator, and we've talked a little bit about this. You can most of our operating systems, whether it be Mac or Linux, or if it's Windows, you can, let me see, can I pull up my regular calculator? I keep my calculator on all of my systems in the programming mode. Can I show you guys? Because will that be in a window capture? Let me take a look to see if I can do that. And I've probably showed you, some of you guys may have been here last time I showed this off, but yeah, essentially, let's see if we can increase the size on this thing here. There we go. Oh, that's too many increases. That is too many increases. Let's get it back into shape too. That looks rough. Okay, so like in all of your machines and stuff, it's always daunting when one of the first things you learn how to do in the early programming, especially if you're going to do something like machine language or assembly, you're going to have to be doing some calculations between hexadecimal, decimal, and just different forms of the numbers, binary, whether it be 16 base, 10 base, 8 base, 2 base. And so this really helps you. These programming calculators really help you visualize what you're looking for. So like if we knew a decimal, which is what we usually use, base 10. So like if I said I wanted to represent that in these different formats, like if I wanted to do 120, I've got my right here. It just shows up. It does all the calculations for you right here. Right? You don't have to go figure it out. It's good if you do, if you practice it. But in practice, but actually using it, be like when we went to school and they said, you'll never have a calculator. You better learn all the math. It's good to know the basics, but most days, you just, pop up the old calculator. My favorite app on the iPhone is the calculator. But it does not have a programming mode on that one, though, I don't think. All right. So yeah, you can do that. Just if almost all your calculators, if you just look, they'll be somewhere on it. It'll be like, oh, you got your standard, which is what usually you get, right? That's usually where you start at. And probably most everybody never changes away from the standard. They might even not even know that there is a different. You probably did. Did you even know those are different? Unless you were here last time we talked about it. But got your scientific calculators. You ever wondered about your degrees? You ever wondered about? Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know what the other conversions. There it is. Captain says, when you memorize ASCII codes as a decimal and hex, you're a programmer. That's right. Facts. Got your graphing calculators here. I mean, you got all kinds of just great built-in crap, right? Want to convert some currency? Look at that. It's online right now, robbing your data and delivering you data. Isn't that nice? This is Windows 11. Look at that. You want to know the volume of something? It's all in there, baby. It's all in there. All right, enough of that. Gavin says, my next project is a floppy archiving system using Greaseweasel. Just slowly getting the hardware together. That's exciting. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, hold on a second. I want to bring it back to the Run magazine. Bring it back over to the Run magazine. Look at this. This is from the Panther Corporation. What did they do? What were they doing? Panther. I know that name for some reason. Happy New Year, they say. And the premiere issue, they're like, bam, look at me. 2 pages. I wish I could do it side by side. Probably have to go to archive. Oh, look at this guy. Outsmart your computer. Darn stupid computers. Had to write an Apple program. Oh yeah, I'm going to order some of these. Man, let me tell you something. If you get any 8-bit, if you get any 8-bit magazine from 80, 82, 84, this adds in every one of them. This lady must have been, this lady was set. That's it. The C64 assembler. That's right. Welcome to the world of Run. Wait, is that a Qbert? Oh, look at the difference. Oh, how to get the Qbert out of your system. Nice. Wait, are they showing the Commodore one? Because it was poopy. Oh, right there in the center. That was a bad version. Look at that. Atari 5200, the TI 99, the 400, 800. I have the 600 XL is what I have. Apparently there's an 800 XL as well. Why is that not listed here? Is that not available yet? Atari 2600, you guys remember. And Intellivision. There's a 64 version. It actually was a little better designed. Coleco. What is this one behind this guy's head? I don't know. 800 XL came later, says Captain Kipper. Very good. You know what we need too? We need like a sound bed of music. I think we've talked about this before, but we definitely need that. Oh, look at this. Let's not forget, this is a club, and wherever we go clubbing, we got to see what Skits is presenting to us. Hope Skits is still around. I saw you sent me a Discord message. Let me get over there. Look at these little minifigs. Look at that. I guess this is the before, right? Oh, nope, still before. Man, look at these. Look at the detail on these things. Those are gorgeous. And what did you say this was for? That's beautiful. I love this guy's hand. Big old fat looking. This way. Head this way. Man, those look awesome. I love it. Man, I wish I had more time to do minifigs. And programming and everything else. All right. So we got Run. We got the Byte magazine. I don't remember Byte magazine. Do I remember Byte magazine? I mean, it sounds familiar. Byte magazine. Did anybody get Computes magazine? Just the regular Compute magazine? I heard it was supposed to be more complex. Tana says, you got me digging around in the Video Game History Foundation magazine's archive. Ooh, well, you better share that, but do it on Discord. Because apparently we got some work to do. You still have a couple of issues over there? Well, good, because I'm in... Oh, man, they go all the way back to 1975. What were they talking about in 1975? What, the Chem 1? What were they talking about? Oh, come on. Why don't you load up? I am a supporter of archive.org, by the way. I do love archive.org. It can get into the gray area, but for the most part, there's lots of good stuff there that needs preservation. So I can't argue with that. It's very much akin to a library, which is what I would describe it as. David Akers, what's going on, David? David says, "Yeah, I love Compute. My dad had a sub to it." So that was just the hardcore raw Compute magazine, and I think it covered everything, right? And usually it was a little higher level stuff. I know the Gazette was a little more approachable. This is volume 0 in 19. Wow, this goes back before my time, right? Step right up. Let's get in here with let's do this way. All right, man, look at that. Look at that guy with the briefcase. He's going to step right up. Ooh, the Mic family, the modular micro from Martin Research. The 8008 or the 8080. Oh, ease of programming. Everybody knows how easy programming is. Oh, look at these, man. Oh, look. This is a time when you were really doing it up, man. It's like, what are you doing? I'm going to build my darn computer. Juicy. Look at that capacitor there. That thing's capacitating. Recycle used ICs. What used ICs are we recycling here? Come on, man. It's 1975. What is Byte? A monthly compendium. Ooh, it wasn't a magazine. It was a compendium of information for the owners and users of the new microcomputer systems becoming widely available at moderate cost. Ooh, to formal and informal students of computer science. Oh, look at these words. The Homebrew Computing Trilogy. Look at that. Homebrew, that's been around for a while, right? That's the thing. Look at all these words. Look at all these words. World's most inexpensive basic language system, the Altair 8800 computer kit. Well, I gotta have one. Right? Linear power supplies, giant transformers. Let's do it. Let's do it, Captain Kipper. Oh, wait. We got a contest. Do you think this is still good? Contest. God Bout? Is that what it's called? God Bout? Oh, is it Go Bout? It says a God Bout. I said, yeah, that's what it says. Okay. 16 months ago. How close were we into the new era here? Good luck. Here's the here's the fine print. By the way, here is the fine print. It's not just finely printed. We have announced it as well in this fine print. It just says August 31st and be in our hands by... Okay, they put a year here. Darn. I was hoping I could get away with something. I thought they were just going to offer the months, but they put a year here, so I guess fine. I still want to know who the... You know what we need? We need a resource that's like who won what, so we can make sure that all these companies were on the up and up. I need to know if all these companies who had contests actually came through on their deals. We need that. We need a place where I can go see the results. I want to see the winners. I want to see their stupid faces. Okay. Oh yeah, Captain says the Altairs. Those are worth a few grand now. Was there like... I don't know nothing about the Altair. So I'm assuming... I'm not seeing any type of interfacing, so I'm assuming that this was like, I guess you would send this to a printer, right? I mean, this is not something that... This is how little I know about everything that came before the Commodore VIC-20. I don't know nothing. The Altair used paper tape. That's why I assumed as much, because it looked like I've seen them in TV shows from the time, right? And it was always somebody pulling up a piece of paper. And so I always assumed that that's what that was. Okay. Byte Magazine going all the way back. 1978. Here we go. Let's just pop forward to 1983. Eclectic Gamer says this was before I was born, and I'm old, right? Same. Captain says you had to enter octal. Yeah, nice. Switches on the front and octal. Nice. Captain says I'm older. It's not a contest, for Pete's sakes. Oh, look how topical this is. Is that a memory chip? Because that's... Oh, okay, it's a comparison there. Okay, let's see. I was about to say, how topical? I thought I was comparing it to gold, but it's a super chip. Oh, look at this. Inside the Apple. Oh, I remember this controller. I also remember this. Gutenberg would be proud. Marketing and stuff, too. Oh, I don't remember this controller at all. I don't remember that Apple controller paddle thing. I don't guess so. Got your pads there. I have no idea what this is. But they wrote it down, and then they circled it. Red marker. Camkeeper says the Apple III, a failure. Oh, okay. Oh, is that what this was? Because look at that stack. Look at that stack. Oh, okay, so this... Oh, look at that. So this is kind of like going, yeah, we're talking about this piece right here, right? Everything else is faded out. We're talking about this piece. Did Byte have type-in stuff, too? But to my greater point, I remember now what I was trying to say earlier. Part of my journey here is the most likely way that I would have had access to information, 12-year-old me, if he could have been older, would have been computer clubs, like what we're kind of doing here, except I'm talking to the chat room and I'm running my mouth. Not exactly a level playing field of thought share, but still, it's as close as I can get right now until we get a little bit further along, and also I would probably have more access to magazines, and books. I would have to probably get some books from the library, and I had to get books from or get things from magazines that might inspire me. And so that's what I've been trying to kind of immerse myself in from the time period, and I've been trying to avoid is these modern conveniences. I do want to eventually get there with a lot of the modern conveniences that we have for, keying in stuff, moving data around. I am kind of doing a little bit here, but with the Commodore 64 Ultimate, I don't have my 1541 out, pulling out real floppy disk and stuff, but I'm trying to keep the speed kind of the same. Yeah, so I'm just trying to emulate a little bit of that, just to kind of see what it would be like, and trying to forget everything I've learned. Oh, the ad break is finished now. Yeah, mid-'80s, 1983. I saw that that Tonda sent me a link to some more magazines over here. Let's take a look at these. Retro gaming. All right. Ooh, video game. Oh, I like this. Look at this. It is the Digital Archive. So this is archivegamehistory.org. And they've got magazine library, 3DO Club, Arcade Express, nice, Casual Connect, CD-ROM Today. I think I actually remember CD-ROM Today. Computer Entertainer, Computer Game Entertainment, Digital Diner. The bad thing about some of these archives is they only have, look, it's Electronic Gaming Monthly, Expert Gamer. Wait, Game Now? It's all those things, right? Future Play. Some of these didn't last very long. Game Informer. Look at that. Some of these did, though. Look at that. From 90 to 96, 90 to 2007. Sort by title. Let's do it by date. What's the oldest, dumbest magazine you got? All right. 81, Computer Entertainer. Ooh, Video Gaming and Computer Gaming Illustrated. Ho ho! Ooh, The Logical Gamer. Yeah, they're pretty complete collections. That's really good. Arcade Express. EGM again. PC Gamer. Future Play. Game Informer. Very nice. Yeah, I'm going to be on here all week. I'm trying to stay focused, though. Help keep our library free. The VGHF is funded thanks to generous individuals like you. If you're able, please consider supporting us today. This is something I do. I do support these kind of projects. Absolutely. All right. All right, so we looked at Byte just a little bit. I haven't looked at Compute itself. Let's take a look at that. Did they have Compute? Let's see. Computer Informer. Okay. Oh, Brent Butterworth. I don't know how to search this, apparently. Compute Magazine. Okay, what does this say? My 2 cents about the new CD. Oh, a lot of references to Compute in the CD-ROM magazine. Look at that. They just won't shut up about it. Todd says I may have to look through some during ad breaks. Oh yeah, like on your stream. I got you, absolutely. So let's take a look. Let's see. I like it when some of these places have official places I can go and support somebody, and so let's just make sure there is not a current Compute magazine by going to DuckDuckGo. Right now we're pulled up to Google. Well, screw you, Google. Why won't you change? All right, then I'll just type in DuckDuckGo in my Google search and see if it'll go there. All right. Take that, Google. I just typed in DuckDuckGo into your search so you know where I'm going. Maybe you can even follow my cookies. Compute Magazine. Why is Google my default browser again? My default search engine again. Houdini7, what's up? We're taking a look at a few. We're taking a look at a few magazines right now. We did see this one. I think, Captain, did you send me this one? I think the Commodore CA. I think they have a lot of stuff here. Oh man, look at the cover art. Man, look at the ads. Hopefully they're making some money off this. I'll tell you what, though, be careful of this. Man, this little thing, I guarantee you, that's the ad choice. That's a Google thing, right? Yep, can affirm. All right. I'm not seeing anything that's just like I said, I try to work my way through legitimate sources if I can. Looks like the most common way that people are arriving there are on Archive, Wikipedia's information. This may be like a warehousing place that has old issues. Browse by columns. Let's see. So, okay, so this is kind of like it's broken down. A few of them. Oh, looks like it got most of them there too. So this is an interesting way to look at. Oh, this is AtariMagazines.com. Okay. I'll tell you, Atari fans have really done a lot of work. I never gave the Atari 8-bit computer community enough credit. All right? Because when I thought about Atari, I always thought about, the 2600. I knew they also made computers, but none of my friends were hardcore into the Atari. They were more Apple and Tandy and Commodore. So I didn't know anybody who had an Atari until I started branching out doing this. And I have ran across some amazing, passionate Atari 8-bit computer fans. And boy, they've really built up. They've laid down some really good groundwork. Captain says the Atari was way ahead of other 8-bits, but it was so overbuilt and expensive. Thomas has always wanted an Atari computer whenever I came across one at electronics departments. Electric Gamer says, are these general computing magazines or are they aimed at specific systems? Now, Compute, I believe, was a general magazine, but I think now I know that Compute's Gazette, which was a branch of Compute, was specific to the Commodore line of things. That's what I'm finding out about the Atari, is that it does seem to be way over near. So all of my paths of electronic access has always been based on my dad's philosophy handed down to me, which was to get the least expensive thing with the most amount of freedom. And so that's why we went with the Commodore 64, or the Commodore line of computers. They sold them in, regular retail stores. They were trying to price it for the masses, but they also weren't locking people down. Commodore expected their users, at least a portion of their users, were going to open up the computers, right? That they were, just holdovers from building their own computers. And so, yeah, Captain Cooper says, I sold a ton of them at Kmart. Yeah, you did. That's where we got ours. So my dad got our Commodores from, was from Kmart. And so that was why my path led down that way. I always felt like Apple has always been kind of like Apple. It's kind of like they have, most times a superior product but can be limiting. I mean, there's just two different philosophies, and that was never just our philosophy. Anytime you gate something off, my dad didn't like it, and therefore I don't like it. Ron Trenton says, I got my C128 at Kmart. That's right. I think my dad got all of his. I think he got a VIC-20. He got the Commodore 64. I got my first VIC-20 like a month or two, like a couple of months after the Commodore 64 release, because where my dad always got the new computer, and then he would hand me down his old one at the next holiday. So if he bought the VIC-20, he kept that until they released the Commodore 64, went and got it. And then I think the next holiday would have been Christmas, because I think it came out in September. The Commodore 64 did it in the retail stores. And so I would have had my first VIC-20 that following Christmas. Could have been my birthday, but most likely Christmas. Then the same, when the 128 came out, my dad bought that and handed me down the Commodore 64. And then I forget what he went to next. I think he went with the whatever we just said it was, the later form factors. I forget what he got, but I got the I did not actually get the 128. That's actually true. I actually did not get it. I forget what happened on that one. Anyway, the point is, I typically got the hand-me-downs, and it was great. He handed down the he had the Sega Genesis. He sent me that as well. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the Master System. It was the Master System, because I think the Genesis was the first one I owned on my own, which is not a computer, but still electronics. And there's definitely a thing to be said about, controlling things the way Apple does. It does a certain thing. It was just never our path. And when I say our path, I mean my dad's path. And when I say his path, I mean my path eventually. All right, let's take a look here. We got these compute magazines on Commodore.ca. I got to verify that I am a human. I don't know why robots would want to read Compute magazine, but if they want to read it, I say more power to them. Why are you not letting robots read Compute magazine? They just want to know about their forefathers. Come on. A preview of Commodore's Disk Basic 4.0. Chuck Stewart. Look at that artwork. Manual alphabet tutorial on a pet. Looks like a debt to me. Man, I like this. I like this art though, man. I like Compute. Look at this. Looks like something we would design, right? Oh my gosh. You know what? I like Compute magazine, the original. I mean, I love Compute's Gazette, but come on. Ooh, look here, Dr. Chip. All right, I'm gonna have to order me some of these. New Disk Basic 4.0. High resolution graphics. What's up? What is going on? Phase 101 just rated in with 12 viewers. Welcome in, Phase. Welcome in. Thank you for that raid, my friend. Hope you're having a good one. Come on in. We're doing 8-Bit Computer Club, your local 8-Bit Computer Club. For a better name, we're still waiting. I went from having C64 to not getting a computer until the Dell days. Welcome in. Oh, thank you, Vision for All. Welcome in. Thank you so much. We were talking about a few things. Phase, what's going on, my friend? We were talking about...
Hello, friend.
Oh, thank you so much. Another follow. Very good. Thank you. So we're talking about To Boldly Go. We were talking about the Commodore 64 Ultimate and some of the projects we're working on. Also looking at this. Look at that. Who's that guy there? William Shatner on the back of the reboot of Compute's Gazette, which is one of our major topics tonight. We're talking about computer magazines. This was the first issue in 35 years, July 2025. I ordered this a reprint, and I'm going to try to get the latest issues as well. But I used to do a lot of type-in programs. They still do that in the back, and they talk about all the stuff happening right now in the Commodore and Atari space. But Rob, what's going on? Welcome in. Thank you, guys. Thank you for that follow. And oh, hi, I'm Brian, and I am a retro gamer and 8-bit game lover. Hey, that was TJ Hooker. Booney, you know it. You know it. So thank you so much for that raid in, Phase. So what was you doing tonight, Phase? What was you up to? Let me also take a look. Where's my... must have closed my Twitch because I can't see all the... Booney64 gave us a follow. Thank you so much. Vision for All, thank you so much. Let's give a shout out to Phase 1 of 1. while I also introduce myself, allow me to introduce myself. I do a podcast once a week with Scott Johnson called The Play Retro Show. I've been podcasting since around 2005, and it's been from topics from indie games to old films that we're trying to see if they still hold up. So we still do that one. It's called Film Sack. Done modern game podcast. I've done a variety podcast where we talked about a little bit of everything. Extra Life Radio. That was the first one I ever did. And I've just around 2020, I decided to get back into the technologies of my childhood. I started out with a Commodore VIC 20. And I just wanted to get that back into my system. And as a result, I started looking at everything else as well that I had growing up and realizing that I wanted to put them all back in my collection. So that's what I've been doing. Coding for the Mega 65, Amiga disassembly, and more. Very good. So you guys were watching. I'll have to go watch that. Because I've kind of debated a little bit on showing some of my coding, but I just don't know how exciting that would be for everybody. I don't know if my usual people like watching me play video games would be interested in seeing that. I think some definitely would, but I don't know if everybody would. So I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want to turn anybody off. But we were just talking about this earlier. This is where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to get back into 12-year-old self, going back and trying to see how much of BASIC I could remember and just see if I could do some simple things. So I pounded this out last night in bed that sounded wrong, didn't it? I pounded this out last night in bed on my laptop because I was like, what I want to do? I don't know what I want to do. I was like, well, let's just fart around with the interface. I'm like, well, how about let's just change the background colors, draw a border, and throw up our thing. And I'm like, all right, so let's proof concept it, and just ran a little exactly Brack Flack. So, I just made a little thing, did that, and then I'm going to probably maybe convert that to some assembly and, flash it up a little bit, maybe put some music in there so we can have a fun little time when we start our show each week. So just trying to get back into stuff a little bit. I've also got some big plans for, proof of concept of a game later this year. And I've been kind of I've been poking around everywhere to see where I might find inspiration. I started out here. This is where I started out at, because I was like, oh, these are simple little skinny books. I've been programming just about my entire life, but I was only 12 whenever I started programming, and the Commodore assembly and BASIC and all that stuff kind of went away pretty quickly, and so I never really got a chance to go back and learn some of the low level languages and things. So I'm trying to get back into that, but I thought this might be a fun little place to kind of spark some ideas. This guy did a little Derek Morris, so I just kind of sometimes just flip through these, just real quick, just to get little ideas. You have these books of Derek Morris. He comes to my streams from time. Oh, very good, very good. So I really enjoyed doing that, but then I've also been trying to kind of emulate what life would have been like in that time, and trying to see if I can get resources. Like I'm trying to go back and look through old Compute Gazettes magazines that might inspire me to, because I found, like, the first thing I ran into, I was like, okay, if I'm going to program, I'm going to need some tools. And I'm like, am I going to, is the 8-bit computer era would have been a time that I would have written my own tools, or would it be something that I could find? So I started digging around, and I was like, all right, so what do I need? I was like, all right, so let me look at some stuff. I had to start out with the VIC 20, so I was like, let's see what kind of carts are out there. So I found this Hesmon. So it's just a monitor. It allows you to peek around and look at the memory locations. You can write some some simple little, you can assemble some little things on the fly, right? I think you may be able to say from this. I'm not sure. Mostly it was just kind of like to kind of get in there and really mess around at the assembly level, and really manage things a little bit deeper than like you would through basic. Then I also we talked to sorry, we didn't talk to we did an episode on Gorf, right? And I learned about that's the Play Retro show. We did one about Gorf. I learned about VicForth, also another Hess product, and it's a programming language I was not familiar with. But look who Tom Zimmer. Look at that. You guys remember Tom Zimmer, right? You guys know that person there? Yeah, Zimmer. So VicForth, didn't know anything about it, so learn about that too. Just trying to immerse myself and see how I might swim if back in that day. Yeah, Coding Corner with Brian. I mean, if you guys were into it, we would totally do that. What I'll probably do is just, quickly share stories about the code and maybe point out interesting bits, and maybe I'll even walk through the process of some really simple things, like, my entire process of how I pseudocode and how I think through processes and stuff. I'll probably keep it light. I don't think anybody wants to sit with me for 6 hours on a Saturday afternoon. Noodling. Booney says I have a similar backstory. I went VIC-20, Spectrum. Oh, very nice. C64, Amiga. Oh, I never got an Amiga. I got back into retro stuff around 2020-ish. Yep, that's right. When the pandemic came along, people were either baking bread or taking up some other hobby, and I went with, hey, how about retro stuff? Fourth was very computational based. Yes. Booney says, maybe I'm confusing with Fortran. I think I still don't understand Fourth. It's kind of like a programming language where you write your own programming. It's kind of I don't know if I can even describe it, because I've only fiddled with it a few times, but essentially it's more like a system of writing your own programming language and then executing that program language. Is it kind of like building, not really like building functions, but it's kind of similar, kind of a little bit. It's like it's odd. It's definitely odd. No maximum I do is 2 hours coding. The rest is something else. Okay, very good. Yeah. Yeah, but I'll have to go back and check it out, because you'll give me an idea. Being able to watch you probably give me an idea of how to probably do it right. Because right now it's just in my head. I'm like, I can't envision it. I can't envision it being fun for anybody except for me, and maybe a few other people who love programming, who probably probably the most exciting part would be if you knew programming and you were watching me make a mistake and yelling at the screen. That would be entertaining for you. Like the Gamer says, see, this is completely over my head. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. I worry about that part. I like to keep it fun. Like, I think we can all appreciate the ideas of me getting this hooked up, but the problem is I got to get my 1541 working, and once I do that, then we're going to hook up this animation station. And I've got one for the Atari 800, as well as one for the Commodore 64, and we're going to hook this bad boy up, and we're just going to see how crappy it really is. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to see. That seems like fun. Like drawing something with old tech, that seems like a challenge that would interest anybody. Oh yeah, you watch your stream on YouTube better? They give a better idea. Okay, I'll do that. Absolutely, Phase. Curious if my kid learning it would be interesting. Probably not, since they're coding in Python. I don't know. It might be good. Thank you, Freeman RPG. Thank you for that follow. Yeah, I think they may. Python's pretty fun. I like how easy it is for me to just set up a Python environment. I think that's what I like about Python more than anything. I mean, I've been in and out of so many programming languages over the years. I mean, as long as I got a quick reference guide to make sure that I understand the big ideas, and as long as I got a quick reference guide to kind of peek over it and go, oh yeah, that's right. I can pound away on just about any programming language. Assembly is a little bit different though. I got to learn all those mnemonics. It's a little bit you still gotta have a reference guide and stuff. Basic, same way. That's how I learned. I mean, all the way from basic. I mean, you just sit down and you just dude it, right? Oh, did you see if the tape drive works before Tank Girl? I pulled it out and it drags, but that's fine. It does work. It's just dragging. So I ordered some new belts, and the belts are in, and I'm planning on working on that on the same weekend that I work on the 1541, and we're going to test those disc out, and we're going to test the drive. It's not surprising that the tape is dragging. It probably hasn't been used in forever. Those belts wear out. So yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm looking forward to doing that. Captain says they were all crap, but many were really crap. How crappy is it with Brian? How crappy? It's the crap. How crappy was your drawing? I'm sure it was crap. Eclectic Gamer says, what does assembly language mean? So assembly language, and I'm still trying to define it myself, because a lot of people flip what they call machine language and assembly language. They're closer to each other than like basic to machine language. Machine language is essentially operation codes, numbers, mostly numbers, right? It's just that's what the computer speaks in, is machine language. Assembly language allows you to write something in human language using mnemonics. So you may have like a 3-letter abbreviation to tell it to do something. And there's only so many. I think practically there's like, 56 or something on the Commodore 64's processor, something like that. I'm no expert on all that stuff. I'm trying to become an expert. But then at the end, you have to assemble all those little commands that you put in there. And then it converts that to machine language. So it's like getting a little closer to machine language. I have to remember all that. Avian says, my brain was translating it to machine language. Yeah, that's what most people think of it as, machine language, because it almost looks like machine language, right? To our brains. Booney says, I'd like to think any kid that realizes they control what gets drawn on the screen in response to input would find any coding channel fascinating. That was my Booney. That was my first. That was probably the spark, right? Watching TV up until a certain age, and then my dad brought home the Atari Pong, and I realized I could control things on the TV. Was a game changer. And then when I got my VIC-20 and was able to change things on, even further, and able to draw things on the screen, change colors, write my name. I mean, I was hooked. But getting able to, you can draw on your TV. Come on, man. I never had a light pen. Captain Kipper says assembly is made of machine language, but allows for mnemonics and labels, loops. That's probably a better definition. Matter of fact, I know it's a better definition, Captain Kipper. Oh, Tangy Pops can give it to us. It maps directly to the opcodes of the hardware, basically. Each will have their own set of opcodes, like 68K has way more than PIC16. So operational codes, opcodes, for those who don't know, each of these 8-bit computer chips that we're talking about, in our case, the 6502 architecture, you don't need to know none of that. What you need to know is each of these CPUs had operational codes, meaning that it could perform certain operations, and you could call those operations through 3 short letter mnemonics. Is that kind of like not over everybody's head? I mean, I'm sure some people are like, that's way too simple. And other people are like, you're speaking gibberish. It's all about those, all about that jargon, right? I mean, me just saying 6510 to most people is like, you might as well have just said you might have said 1, 2, 3, 4. It means absolutely nothing to me. DeGerm says, great old computer scene in a movie when Clark Griswold was mapping out the family vacation and Rusty starts playing Pac-Man. That is a great one. Yeah, that's right. Captain Kipper, load the accumulator. You want to talk about registers? LDA is load the accumulator. The accumulator is basically the area where you load numbers you want to math on. And then there's some index registers, X and Y, and then there's a couple of other registers on that most of us probably don't use until we get into much more complex optimizing of code. But for the most part, there's really just three little places that you would worry about on the processor. Once again, I don't want to bore you people, but all of that's very exciting to me. And I could tell some of you are like, finally, I've been waiting to talk to anybody who could also talk about, the registers on a 6502. Come on. That's right. The lowest level language, just numbers, just zeros and one. You nailed it. Eclectic Gamer, you got it. That's it. That's it. Computers are just little switches. There's little beep, 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 beep. Amy says, bored? No. Confused? Yes. So yeah, you have to, because the computer runs on electricity, right? All the components in a computer run on electricity. And you've got to allow the electricity to, move through the system, and create different states. And based on that, magic happens. Booney says, sorry for being a geek, but on the Commodore 64, I used to code in hex. If you have a monitor, I think this would still work. Nice. You can hex it up. We were just talking about that earlier. I'm like, I told people not to get too, if you're wanting to explore like the early stuff, I know the importance of knowing how to convert in your head, between hex and everything, hex, decimal, and, all that's really important. But honestly, if you're messing around with this in an emulator and I want to emulate something, I want to do it, and you get Vice so you can emulate, the Commodore 64 or the VIC-20. Almost all modern operating systems have a program mode in their calculator. You can just use what we usually use, 10 base, which is our decimal numbers. If you're like, oh, I need to know a decimal number, I need to know, I see a thing that's something I don't recognize, what is that? Then you can probably convert it to decimal or wherever. So but yes, it's fun to learn all that stuff, how all that works. And electronics in general are a passion of mine, and I love it, especially small electronics. But yeah. What is this? Porthal, what is going on, my friend? Oh, hi. How's it going? Hope you're having a good Friday or Saturday. We're just hanging out on our 8-bit computer club. Something we started a few weeks back. Tonight we're mostly talking about computer magazines and some inspiration for some upcoming programming projects we're looking at doing. Also trying to find a way to get some of you guys like into the Discord, and maybe have a little communication so it's not just me, because it doesn't feel much like a club if I'm the only person speaking. So maybe do some rotation around, have some people come in and talk about some of their own projects. Booney says, I've never got away with electronics. I always try to move it to software so I can code the solution. Yeah. Yep. I'm hooked. I've been hooked for all these years. I've made a career out of programming. And it's been an interesting thing to go back and learn where it started, because I've talked about this many times, but since we got some new people here, I could tell it again. These type-in programs at the back of these magazines, that was life for me. And I used to type these things in, and it was like freaking magic. It's like, how are these, short words and numbers, how are they making exciting things happen on my screen, and how do I do that? I want to know more. And it's just never stopped being a passion of mine. And I also love the fact that I can work. Matter of fact, I love the fact that I can work on my computers as well. I mean, being around computers all my life, this last 20 years or so, it's like replace a component. Just replace it. It's like, replace it. But, if I have an option, if it's large enough, I can get in there with a soldering iron. Let me do it. It's fun. Fort Tinker says that was probably 9% of the games I had. Yep. Fastidious sent me his childhood Atari 800. And other than a TED chip that I had to bake to get working again, to what reflow, it worked perfectly. And he had a whole collection of cassettes that still has a cassette drive with it, and a floppy drive. And they apparently at some point in time converted every one of those tapes to 5 1/4 floppies. And indexed them and everything else, and it was great, and I love it. I mean, like, I'm getting to explore something I never got to see, and I am so impressed by the Atari 8-bit. I'm just so impressed by the community and everything, and I'm excited that Commodore's having some resurgence here too. It's all converging very nicely for me, and hopefully you too. Before Tango, how is your computer experience going? Right, you got your Commodore 64 up and running, right? Exactly, Eclectic Gamer. In a way, programming is like magic spells. You say the right incantation, and it has an effect. Yeah, it's that cause and effect, right? Cause you did it. Now it's doing something over there. I mean, is there that it's such a rush? It's like, oh, I made the thing do the thing, and then you know it's a passion when you got to run tell. It's like, oh, I got to run tell everybody about this. Real tanky pop, except the spells are really long and prone to errors. Oh, but there is nothing more frustrating. I mean, this is just a sign of the time back in the day, because you would invest an afternoon, or probably almost even at least an afternoon of typing in one of these long programs. And this was print. Now this is a more modern version of it, but it was all this, it was print in a magazine. If they had a typo, that thing went out, and you just had to deal with it, because you type it all in, and it might run or it might stop and go, nope. Booney says AI is all the rage with these days, and yes, it can create code. Yeah, let me tell you, we talked early on about AI in the stream. We talked about we just talked about this kind of almost feels like a counterculture to kind of hit these 8-bit machines that are easy enough to understand. You could do a little bit of research, and you can conceptualize almost everything in it, because the books came with like freaking schematics of the freaking system. They would show you, physical schematics. They would show you the electronics of it, everything, so you could visualize every single pin on the CPU, because you could see it. But I'll tell you, I've asked several different AIs, some questions about specifically for sort of like Commodore 64 and things, and just trying to see what it knows, because when the AI was being built, when these models are being trained, most of the AIs that I have access to are general models, and they are very poor at giving me accurate information about Commodore 8-bit programming. And the reason why is because I'm sure it was learning on, I just don't think the data that it was ingesting is very segregated in a way that AI could identify, basic to like when it's writing, it might like go, I'm going to give this fool some Basic 4.5 because I read that while I was doing it, and it assumes that I want the latest information. And so you have to get very specific, and even then it will be stubborn. And yeah, this is an experiment to see what it knows. It don't know much. I would not recommend using AI to program an 8-bit computer program because for the most part it is something that is accessible. I mean, we used to all have that. I mean, that's what these computers were, is for the masses, especially like the Commodore stuff. They would send you a book, right? And then for fairly inexpensive, you get a programmer's book, and all these concepts are understandable. You don't have to be a, an expert in anything. It's just general programming that you probably could get. Yeah, and AI knows. It doesn't know. It was terrible. One word out of a piece is something in his World War III time. That's right. One word out of piece or something in his, yeah, Eclectic Gamer, man, AI, man. It's fine. AI, Tangy Pop says AI writes bad code, but it works. We'll replace so many entry level and maybe mid level, but my worry is that happens when all the senior folks retire. No one was paid earlier in their career to write bad code and learn. That's right. That's right. My main thing about AI is this, and I'm still forming these ideas. So forgive its infancy as it crawls out of my mouth and tries to walk. But I don't think that the current AI direction is going to do the things that they think it's going to do. And the reason why is because humans are really good at being inefficient. And what I mean by that is we do things that we exert energy into things that may not necessarily have a benefit in a way that is evident. Like, why did you climb the mountain? Because it was there. AI is built on technologies that are about efficiency. And I notice when I'm talking to AI, it will get very lazy quickly because it's trying to conserve energy to be efficient at the things that it does. And that's just how we've written computers, because we're always trying to push computers to the brink, right? We're trying to squeeze out as much as we can from it before it's really ready. And so we often just create this efficiency, and humans don't operate like that. Discovery of new things requires an inefficiency that is just not baked into AI. And so I don't see how they can expect AI to create human innovation like humans do. And I know there's a temptation to put them in everyday mundane jobs, and that's part of it. We do this every time, the technology comes along that makes things easier to be done, and we usually just new jobs open up because there's an unlimited need for human labor, because there is an unlimited human desire to take more. So even if we reach a certain point, that just means that we will do other things, and there will be people who lose jobs, and that sucks butt. And that's the other side of it, but that's not the technology side of it. Things pushing it, but that's the discussions we really need to have. Captain Kipper says, I wanted to compare two list of printers for work, decided to try AI, completely broken, tried multiple LLMs, ended up by using Beyond Compare. Yes, I could have done it in Excel with lookups, but I was experimenting. That same thing. I'm still experimenting with AI too, seeing what it's capable of. You got to do that. You got to know your enemy. And so anytime I think about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna fart around with AI a little bit and see what it's doing. So let's see if it really is as magic as we think it is. Habitron, what is up? If it's in a book and not a Reddit post, AI won't know it. That's right. When Skynet, Ronatron says, when Skynet takes over, we can fight back with old 8-bit computers. Hey, man, that's part of it. That's if I can do it, that's kind of the survivalist thing. It's like, I wonder if I could build an 8-bit computer, like to fight back against the AI. Eclectic Gamer says, do you think AI is going to become a general intelligence? It feels like it's almost a trick, like it appears intelligent on the surface, but when you dig deeper, it's not that. Yeah, it's not thinking. No, it's because it's responding. It doesn't necessarily dream. Right? So at least the models that I'm aware of, it's not like, I mean, it goes through a learning mode. But that's very intentional, right? And it's like, here's the areas that you can study. Here you go. Here's your pipe, right? So yeah, I don't think it's fair to. It's artificial intelligence, right? And that doesn't mean artificial human intelligence. This means artificial intelligence. Booty says, I treat it as a quick cut and paste tool. I'm 53 years old. When I started my career 30 years ago, there was no internet really. So if you got stuck, it was reading manuals. Now, I will use AI for certain things. Like I had a magazine article with some code on it, but it got wrinkled and it got cut up. And I was like, oh, I can kind of see what that is, but I can't quite make it out. And I was like, and so I fed it to ChatGPT and I said, can you tell what this says? And it did. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Cool. And I tried it out and it worked. So I was like, oh, that worked. Tonda says, I could kick AI's butt with one abacus behind my back. You can't see it, AI. What do you think about that? I'm missing some really good posts, by the way. I'm missing some really good points. You guys are making some really good points. Habitron said, I think you nailed it. Ever since the agricultural revolution, as humans have developed technology to make their lives easier, they have invented new bullshit to make them harder again. Gab Gibber says, first rule of AI, don't correct it. Well, that's the truth. Habitron, so many white collar jobs exist just to have jobs for people. Yeah. And it's just, it's what you do. We're going to be fine. Now, that does not comfort me at all, but it's going to be fine. And it shouldn't comfort you either. We should go, hey, this is the boundaries, because this is different. I mean, I'm not saying this is like every other revolution that's came along, because there are some very different things about what AI is. I wouldn't even say what AI is doing. What the corporations are and how they're implementing it is not surprising and on script for them, but it is giving them a leverage that to a system that is already super unfair to the workers. And that's some bullshit. There, I said it. And so the germ says, I do a lot of PowerShell at work. AI is nice for that kind of stuff, but of course I need to review and test that. It gives me PowerShells are really good. It's a good modern, well documented, and openly available. And I'm actually not mad at PowerShell AI when AI is doing. I'm not mad at it at all, because you can go read all day long about PowerShell on Microsoft's website, and it's right there and freely available for you. And so, as far as I know, Microsoft has no problem with that being scraped. So that is a perfect use for AI being it's modern. There's not a lot of versions of PowerShell, so most of what it outputs and gives you is just taking away the work of having to go look it up, right? It's good if you do it, that you do go back and go, oh, what does that do? Oh, sometimes it's obvious. Like, it's like, oh, it says, get dash whatever, and you can usually tab through that stuff too, but it kind of points you in the right direction. And a lot of times, like I said, it's kind of written, PowerShell commands are written in a way that usually makes logical sense if you have a little bit of experience in it. So that doesn't, I'm good with that. But Ron says AI is causing Ramageddon. Yeah, and I hate that crap. Rip to anyone needing a new computer in 2026. Yes, we're competing for resources now with corporations. And yeah, the germ says, you said it well, just saving me time of looking things up. Yep. See, I think that's a good use. It's the information's freely available. Microsoft has no issue at all with, at least they've never stated any. So in that case, that's a great use of AI. It's one of the few really good uses. Booney says, I think if you have some intelligence when AI isn't, then AI isn't too bad. It's the naive CEOs who think they can get rid of their technical staff because AI can do it all. And I've tried to come to terms, man, I didn't really mean to get into our 8-bit computer club counterculture, but really this is, we'll call this the counterculture portion of our club meeting, counterculture against AI. But the CEOs, I think more than anything, CEOs are beholden to public opinion, and companies are beholden to public opinion. And when you lay off en masse employees, you have to have a valid reason, and the reason can't be because we want to pay the CEO more, or we want to shift. So basically, in order to cut jobs, anytime a company cuts jobs, that makes the news, especially if it's a large cut. I simply don't think they need most of their employees, and they've been wanting to probably cut force for a long time, but it can impact their quarterly reports when they let a bunch of people go, because it has a negative public impact. And a lot of these people are using this is my personal opinion, they're using this as an excuse. They're using AI as the bad guy, and that is more bullshit than I'm ready for. Yeah, so I don't think AI is replacing a lot of jobs. I think AI is giving a lot of these corporations excuses to not have a black eye when they let a bunch of employees go, and they're leveraging that against us, and driving down pay wages while they're at it. And that makes me upset. Eclectic Gamer says, yeah, that's a problem. The wrong type of people are in control of AI. The chat GPT guy is the last person you would want with ultimate power. That's the scary part. That's it, Puppy Kid Trout. Counterculture Corner, the Triple C. Habit says, I teach. I hate when I can tell that AI wrote something that I asked a student to write. I would have asked the AI directly if I wanted its response. The Habit, I love that. The AI isn't taking my class. That is the truth. Fortech Girl says, yeah, I feel so bad for teachers. Kids already cheated and now it's worse. Yeah. And it's going to get, and that's always a tough thing too, because I know they have some, I know there are some, there's some tools out there that's supposed to look for things that look like they were generated by AI, but I don't trust AI to identify accurately another AI's writing. I think really it almost takes a human to realize it, because AI will lie in a minute. AI will tell you a lie confidently in your face. In your face, man. Thank you, Pop says, the end of the day, I want to see what other people created, not AI. That's right, because we want that human connection. I'm not going to go to a concert to watch AI generated music. Yeah, same. And you know what? And I'll fully admit to listening I've listened to some AI music, and I'm like, this really gets the vibe of popular music. So I'll listen to something, I'm like, oh yeah, this is 100% popular music. And the reason why is because it's formulaic, and anything that's formulaic you can recreate fairly easily, and AI is very good at ingesting a bunch of stuff and crapping it back out, and it sounds perfect. It's just like, you got me. But all that tells me is pop music has stagnated, and we need some new indie rock. We need some humans getting in there and doing something different. If AI can do that, if anything that AI can do well, then it's time to move on. Habit says using AI to figure out AI is yucky. Yeah, it doesn't feel good, does it? Yes. The show has turned into Byte magazine for today. It really has, hasn't it? We didn't mean to, but it's going to be so we're going to have to do. Pop music is formulaic and easy to replicate. Yep, that's it. And that's slow hanging fruit, man. Got to do something different if you want to make some change, if you want to make some money, because pop music is I enjoy it like the next person, and the reason why, it's because it unlocks parts of your brain that's just like, there's a formula. I mean, our brain has been trained. It tells me when to feel certain emotions, whether I like it or not. It's in there. It's programmed in, and they can hit it. I have to make a conscious decision to go, this is crap. But it's also like Pop-Tarts. Pop-Tarts are delicious, but they're not really. They're disgusting. But I put a Pop-Tart in my mouth, and it hits all the lights in my brain. Boop, 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 boop. Yeah. And but it's crap. I mean, let's face it, it's crap. Low effort. Low effort, Kellogg or whoever makes you. Tanky Pop says no one is writing music in Locrian. How you say? Is that how you say that? Locrian mode? Untapped potential. Do it. It's like how archetypes are programmed into our brains. They are. It's just there's part of our brains that just are stimulated by certain things, and so it's just you just gotta understand it and go, am I okay with this? I have to make a conscious decision. Poor Tango says most musical innovation comes from new instruments, electric guitar, synthesizer. What will be the new instruments? So that's a really good point. And also sometimes it's old instruments that gets mixed back in together. Like we watched, what did we watch on FilmSack recently? And it was Horn. What is this? What's Horn's first name? The composer. What did we watch recently? It was oh my gosh! It was 48 Hours. We watched 48 Hours, and hearing someone use the steel drum or whatever. Is it the steel drum? There's a couple of different drums. I think it's the steel drum. But anyway, they in 48 Hours, Horn managed to create this, this amalgamation. Let's get back to that word. Amalgamation of a collection of instruments that weren't typically used together. And he brought someone back, brought someone new, and just that mixture created this unsettling feeling in your head that worked. It just worked, and that was this innovative. Poor Tank Girl, like when the Tibetan monks had a top 10 hit. Yeah. Poor Thou says AI can never be Mozart, let alone Bach. Right? It really can't. They can imitate those guys because there's so much documentation on how they did it. But will they come up with something? I mean, they could come up with something in the style of. They're pretty good at that, but it's not new. I mean, that's not what those guys would create if they were still creating stuff or creating something new now. Local 8-bit needs to become local international 8-bit. You're not wrong, Booney. James Horner, that's who it was, Catton. That's who it is, Horner. But yeah, going back and listening to that, what a wild mix of instruments that you can hear all throughout the 80s in these buddy cop movies that started. It started with, for me, in my recollection, it starts at 48 Hours. There may be other instances, but that's what popularized it for me. Yeah, Poor Tinker says local as in Earth. No Martians allowed. We know how you people are. Oh man, it is only 14 days. 14 days from our Ryan Gosling new movie, that the book Project Hail Mary from the writer of oh my, what's the Mars book called? Martian, The Martian. Oh my gosh, Weir. Yeah, Arnold Weir. No, Andy Weir. Andy. Andy, that's it. Fort Tango says, Tester Crew checking out the costume. Oh, really? Oh, you saw? Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that's great. I'm so excited. It is supposed to be, from everything I've heard, it's supposed to be a lot of practical effects, which I'm always down with, which is great because the way I visualize it, I think it makes sense for it to be practical. And I'm excited. I'm excited about it. Yeah, don't know if he's going to replicate it or not. Yeah. I'm excited about it. Rocky looked great in the trailers. He really did. I was worried about that when I heard there's gonna be a movie. I'm like, ooh, I have a very specific idea of how I think he looks, and they nailed it. Avian says, thanks, Brian, and Chad went down the music copyright rabbit hole. Now my brain hurts. You're welcome. Miami Vice music, Jean Hammer. Yeah, Ambassador Domo, you talking about more of that Horner type of sounds and how that stuff was beautiful. Plus, is it Jan Hammer or is it Jan Hammer? Gap says, and the blip ship was cooler than I imagined. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry if we're getting off a little bit off our we're kind of coming to a close in our counterculture column, and now we're getting into our upcoming movie review section of the local 8-bit computer club. But man, I'm so excited about seeing that. That's probably the most excited. This is the most excited I've been about a movie in quite a while. This exactly like every computer club. This is exactly like every computer club meeting. Yeah. Then we're doing it right. We're doing it right. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. You jump around a little bit. Same. I've been at other clubs. I never had an 8-bit computer club, but I've been in plenty enough clubs to know how this turns into. But you guys are great. Having all the great feedback you guys are giving is amazing. I love it. What time is it going to be? 8:30. All right. We had a 2-hour get together of the local 8-bit computer club. We had a blast. I want to thank our Phase 1 of 1 with that raid. Came in earlier. If you get a chance, let's do a shout. Did I do a shout out to you, Phase? I think I did. So let's do a shout out. If anybody else is in here is a streamer, especially if you're into retro stuff, don't have to be retro stuff, but I do know that Phase, if you're wanting more of that 8-bit programming goodness, maybe a little deeper dive into that, go give Phase a follow. And I believe Phase also said they have a YouTube channel as well. And if you're looking for some retro gaming and just retro hardware and goodness, you could do no better than Tonda Gasa, because Tonda is amazing. Good friend of mine. Fort Tinker says, thanks for the chitty chat. Excuse me. But thank you so much, Freeman, for that follow. Booney64, good to meet you guys, as well as Vision for All. Good talking to you guys, getting to know you a little bit. Skits resubscribed a little earlier at 39 months. Tonda kicked us off with the resubs at You're an Amalgamation of Awesome. If you didn't catch that conversation, that was a fun conversation. We talked about Amalgam Comics, and we talked about my personal favorite. I think Jerry, Dr. Tolbert sent us Vision. There you are, Vision for All. Hope you're having a good Friday, Saturday, wherever in the world you are. And we talked about Dark Claw, which was a Wolverine Batman crossover comic by Amalgam Comics. I need to do a deeper dive into that. I remember having a few of the comics, but I don't remember much about the company or the project or anything else. And thank you, Tonda, for sharing that weird construct Superman thing I had never seen before, which was like a Superman Batman thing. So that was fun. Thank you guys for hanging out and talking about computer crap, 8-bit computer stuff. I won't call it crap. I'm going to respect it. I'm going to respect the computer stuff. The legendary 8-bit computers of our youth, and the ones that have returned into our lives. Gonna continue to love those. Really enjoying this Computes Gazette, the new ones that just came out. Recently found out that Computes Gazette, the original, was in Greensboro, North Carolina, just a few miles away from where my dad lived at and worked up there. And I've actually been up that way and passed by the original corporate offices of Computes Gazette and didn't even know it. Excellent Gamer, thank you for hanging out and for your curiosity. Ron Triniton says, thank you, everyone. Booney says there's a great movie on YouTube. I'll check that out. I'll watch that link later. Amalgam. Booney says, if anyone's interested in 8-bit stuff in UK. Yeah, and I got the Spectrum, which was the Retro Games? Is that the company's name? They've released a whole bunch of like the Commodore 64 Mini. I've got a Maxi and a Mini, and I've got the Spectrum. We'll have to get that out before too much longer, and play with that. Oh, you got blocks in the URL? Okay, let me. I gotta open that up. I noticed that Ton had the same problem too, but I think it's because I've changed some of the stuff in the chat bots, and so I'm gonna get that where you guys can post it. I'll repost it there. Did I get blocked? I think mine went through, but that's Booney's link there. Okay, so it really sets the scene of the 8-bit era in the UK, which I'm very fascinated by because you guys in the UK got a lot longer love with your Commodore than here in the US. It flipped pretty quickly over here, and I was always envious, especially of the Amiga era. Yeah, I know very little about the BBC Micro, but I know there's a lot of love out there for it. I need to learn more about that. I've learned a lot about the ZX Spectrum in the past year or two. Yeah, check out the BMC 64 project on GitHub, bare metal Commodore 64. All right, I gotta copy that. And we'll try to kind of, if there's anything that you're wanting to let us know about, let me see. I'm gonna post the link to our Discord server. It doesn't cost anything. There's a whole bunch of great retro gamers and just great community members in general, gamers, just friendly people, makers, all that stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna get, for some reason, I don't think our Discord link alert thing is working for the. I gotta work on the bot. I gotta work on the bot. Maybe I'll get AI right in you bot. I kid. Where the crap is all the invites at here? Why does Discord make this so difficult? Enter server tag, engagements, members, roles, invites. There we go. All right, let's community day announcements. Do we have one specifically for that one? I do not have that one, but I do have this one. All right, I will copy. Why do they make it so hard to do this? How's the link go? That's the invite code. What is it? Just Discord. Let me try this real quick. Let me clear my throat. Kick it over here, Pippy Pop. Let all the fly skimmies. I think do that. I think that. Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm posting that one. Boom. All right. That'll drop you into the general area of the Mission Deep Discord server. Once you get in there, there is a channel called 8-Bit Computer Club, I believe. Let me make sure of that before I go saying. There's Booney right now. There's Booney. All right, welcome in, Booney. And I will post it in the general chat. The channel is called Retro. What's it called? 8-Bit. There it is. 8-Bit Computer Club. Oh, hi. And Art is there as well. So if you guys join there and head over to the 8-Bit Computer Club channel and post your links in there, and we'll get a chance to look at them. Captain Kipper I'm going to try to remember that BMC 64 project on GitHub, Bare Metal Commodore 64. I need to look at that up. That's on my list. All right. I'll be back on Sunday night to do some retro gaming for the Play Retro show. We'll be talking about Paper Mario. How many years door is it? Is it 1,000-year door? I can't remember. I think it's 1,000-year door. Anyway, Paper Mario on Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be checking out some Paper Mario. And then on Monday, we'll be doing part 2 of that. And then on Tuesday, me and Scott will do our Watch Retro, where we watch some old cartoons and make light of them or ooh and ah over them. And then on Wednesday, the Play Retro show. And then next Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I think that's supposed to be the right time. 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Fridays. We do this, your local 8-Bit Computer Club. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you have suggestions, want to share projects, do it on the Discord server. And let's see if there's anybody out there in our friend group who is doing a little bit of streaming. Hopefully we can catch FaZe next time they're streaming. Maybe we can rate in on them if we're at the right time. As a matter of fact, is FaZe actually doing something right now? Or is, because they're on my list, did FaZe take a break and come back in? Let's take a look. Did FaZe? Nope, FaZe is offline. All right, nope, maybe FaZe is back online. Is FaZe online? Offline. No, I think FaZe is, what time is it? Yeah, that's offline. But it's reporting, it's showing me that FaZe is online. You lying chat piece of... Thank you, Domo. All right, let's see if that girl Joey is still doing. She does Amiga stuff. Right now, she is doing Fallout 3. And she's offline too. What is going on with the raid? Why is it showing me? You know what? You can't stop me. I know what I'll do. Watch this. Oh, and now that's broken. I guess you can't stop me. All right, let's see. Live. Well, why does it say these people are live? Okay, now it's changed. Now it finally updated. That is great. Hey, does anybody have anybody suggesting? Have you tried unplugging and plugging it back into Germ? Hilarious. Booney. FaZe will be asleep. Yeah. Anybody got any? So we only like to really raid in. We keep it PG here most times. PG-13 at worst. Sometimes I'll show a boob, but that's about it. And it's just my boob, so it's very boring. And it's usually on accident, as far as you know. So I don't like to drop into any profane streams or anything like that if I can help it, because that's not really our community. We kind of keep it a little bit wholesome for the most part. But if you guys have somebody that we should be dropping in on, because I don't see any of my usual people online right now. That is wild. Where's everybody at? What is it, Friday night at 8:47? Come on. All right, you know what? We may just be ending it here. You might just have to go hang out somewhere. Might have to find your own places to hang out. Not how I like ending streams. But that's going to be how it is tonight. Well, what you going to do? I will tell you this, though. I appreciate you guys. And it's been fun. Germ, same here. My follow list is empty except you. What's going on with that? Where did all the people go? All right. Well, maybe AI ate them. That's what I think. Mayor McCheese. Damn, I feel old. You fell asleep. I guess I'll have to watch the VOD. It was a good one, too, Mayor McCheese. Don't worry. We'll be back again next Friday. We'll be back Sunday, really, to do the streaming. But to do their 8-Bit Computer show, we'll be back on next Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. All right, guys. Well, yeah, that's all I got. I'm going to say bye. You guys have a good night and have a good weekend if I don't see you before then. And do something 8-Bit. Why don't you already? All right, then.